Welcome back to the crazy world of Expattaffy. Has Expattaffy finally found his smoking gun that proves his fantasy to be true? Have the time-travelling NASA whistleblowers finally planted the photoshopped Apollo pictures that they created in the 1990s back into the 1969, 70, 71 and 72 Apollo mission files? So that one day only special people like Taffy would find their clues to the truth. Or will Expattaffy just end up cherry-picking certain information just to try to confirm his Apollo moon mission hoax agendas? Shall we have a look?
Hi folks, welcome to another video by the brilliant Expattaffy. Now, as you can see from the title, Apollo fake, how did the astronauts keep a time log of the photos taken on the moon?
Well, I'm just guessing here. I'm sure each astronaut will have a watch, and each camera has a magazine of film, and each magazine will be allocated to an EVA, and each magazine's photographs will naturally be in chronological order. What is your point, Taffy? I'm sure the astronauts themselves can explain.
Super. You're in living color. Okay, I'm putting magazine Bravo. Okay, magazine Bravo is going on the commander's camera. I just tried to blow off the dust, Tony. And it started at frame count number 4. Okay, Bravo 4, and keep count of how many times you blow off the dust.
Okay folks, take a look at this photo here, AS16-106-17384. Now, what that number means is AS16 means Apollo 16. 106 is the number of the magazine, and the 17384 is supposed to be the photo number. Now, this is supposed to be taken from the movie camera on the rover. Remember, with the rover run the Grand Prix. And just look at the number, 17384. Okay, here's the next one, 17385. Now, how many of you would agree that that's taken directly after 17384? Common sense, isn't it? And as you can see, same as the previous photo, it's been photoshopped. Now folks, take a look at this one here, 17390. And as you can see, what it's showing here is they claim with Apollo 16 they lost a rear section of the fender. As you can see, the right rear wheel, there's a section of the fender missing. And as you can see, discovered by the brilliant Expattaffy years ago, this photo had been photoshopped. And we had all the morons stating that I'm insane because Photoshop wasn't out in the 70s. Well, they found out that they are the morons because the photo was not taken in the 70s. It was taken in the 90s, after Photoshop was introduced and used the evidence. And here you are folks, here's a cropping of that rear wheel for that rover, showing the rear section of the fender missing. Okay folks, we now go on to the next magazine, 107, and the photo number here is 17433, and as you can see, it's been photoshopped. Okay folks, we move on, 3 photos. Same magazine, 107, number is 17436, where the previous one was 33. And this one, as you can see, it's been photoshopped, and we've got a rover in it. Now let's take a close look at that rover, shall we? Okay, here's a closer crop of that rover for that photo I just showed you. As I've proven, there's half a dozen errors in this photo that proves it's fake, as well as it being photoshopped. We've got a stuffed dummy for a start, but we won't bother with them. What we're mainly concerned about now is the fender, the rear right fender. And as you can see in this rover, it is not missing, it is complete. Okay folks, you see what I'm getting at here? They claim the Apollo 16 rover lost a rear fender. Okay? Now folks, I started off, the first rover I showed you, it had the rear fender missing. But another photo a bit later, as we go up the numerical ladder, the next rover, the fender is not missing. They found it again. So where did they find it, folks? You see what I'm getting at here? Okay, folks, take a look what I've done here now. What I've done, I've listed all the rovers for Apollo 16 that we're able to view the rear offside fender. Just look at the list we've got here. First one, it's missing. Then the next two, it's complete. And the next photo after that, it's missing again. Then the next two photos, complete. Then the next 4 photos, it's missing altogether. Now folks, you've just seen from that list there, we've got total incontinuity as far as the missing fender is concerned. They took that rover to the moon, they unloaded it, and sometime after they lost the fender, there should be a few photos with the fender complete. They lose a fender, and everyone after that should be fender missing. But it's not, as I showed you there.
Wow, that is interesting, Expattaffy. Looks like you're onto something there. That definitely does look a bit odd. But you're going to stop there, aren't you? As that fulfills your moonshot hoax fantasy. But wait there. I shall finish off your investigation for you. The bit you don't want to show. The bit all the gullible Apollo hoax believers will not bother with. The simple explanation you hoax idiots cannot handle. Once you study the data, the answer is so plain and simple. Even you could have worked this one out, Expattaffy. First, we see which magazines were used on which EVA. And we consult the Apollo lunar journals, where we see all the information given there. And then the story of the strange missing, not missing, and missing again fender becomes clear. We can see the fender was not missing throughout EVA1 and most of EVA2. Towards the end of EVA2 and all of EVA3, the fender was missing. So therefore the damage occurred between photos 17670 and 17729 on magazine 108 during the second EVA. Nothing strange there, is there, Taffy? So your hoax is shot out the water.
Now that's what we've got with these photos taken on the moon. We've got something here that's beyond our understanding. And we've got to ask, how did they do that?
No, it is just beyond your understanding. Because you are just a conspiracist that doesn't believe in anything that NASA has done. And now we shall see Expattaffy trying to prove a LEM or all the lunar excursion modules were faked, and that he has no understanding how shadows work on uneven terrain.
One of my very, very good favourites. AS11-40-5927. Now this is what that moron Phase 52 and the other moron Cleric 58 claims is a genuine photo taken on the moon. Take a look at it coming up next. Okay folks, look at this photo here and you can see why I claim it's one of my best pieces of evidence of fakery. That they never went to the moon and the Apollo 11 LEM is 100%. Not 100% real like the twat Phase 52 claims. Now look at the numbers here on the arrows. I've got 8 arrows here. 8 of them are displaying serious anomalies of fakery.
How did a mad fucker like you live this long?
So let me get that straight. That was 8 arrows indicating 7 issues. Okay, carry on, Expat Taffy.
I'm going to crop out small sections of that photo and enlarge them so you can get a good look at them. Okay, folks, let's deal with arrows 1, 2 and 4 first, shall we? Now, if you look at arrow number 2, you'll see the lens shadow is touching the horizon. Just look out the bloody window, wherever you are, and look at the horizon, and just imagine how long this lens shadow must be if it's going to go all the way to the horizon. Your horizon outside your house may be about 10 miles away, if not more. So there's one thing that's impossible with this, a fake lens shadow, going all the way to the horizon.
So with your very next photograph, you prove the lens shadow is not touching the horizon. You don't seem to understand that uneven terrain distorts shadows, and land rising up and the height of the camera above the terrain will give a closer horizon. Look at the same view shot from the lem windows. The horizon is clearly far away.
Now, the next thing, number 1, if you look carefully at the end of that lens shadow, you'll see it's got a V section. And just an open V section, nothing in it.
So why would it? The lem was a very odd looking structure. And if there's nothing there to cast a shadow, there won't be a shadow cast. Simple. Surely you can understand this basic idea of how shadows work.
Now, the next thing is arrow number 4. What that's pointing to is the landing sensor, a pole sticking straight up, and there's no shadow from it at all. No shadow from it at all.
There does appear to be no shadow on first look, but if you look closely you can make out a shadow, but the lunar soil is so uneven it is not readily apparent.
Okay, folks, we now take a look at arrow 5, 6 and 7, and I'll show you them enlarged up individually. Number 5, you can see the astronaut's boot, and I'll be showing you a full-size photo of that. He's picked his boot up, but there's no boot print under his boot. That's one thing. Number 6, we can see the flagpole, but there's no shadow of a flag, despite you can see a shadow from the solar wind experiment instrument. And number 7 is really bloody hilarious. It's a face on a piece of foil that's supposed to have fallen down off a cross member of the lem leg. Let me show you each of them in turn. Okay, folks, here we have number 5, as I showed you. No boot print under this astronaut's boot.
Apart from the large number of boot prints in the foreground of this picture, you must mean these boot prints here right by the astronaut then that you can't see.
Okay, folks, here's error number 6 highlighted. No shadow from the flag or the flag pole. It should be going from the pole to the left. That's the way the shadows are going. There is no shadow at all from this one. But there will be another one where they have got the shadow. Now, how can you have the shadow in one and not in another?
Same reason as the landing pole sensor's shadow. The flagpole shadow is being disrupted by the lunar surface, and if the photograph had been taken at a higher level, the shadow would have been seen. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin plant the flag. The film is sped up for editing reasons, but definitely is a shadow when we get to see it, all the way from the flagpole base to out there on the lunar surface. Bad luck, Taffy. Need your eyes tested, mate.
is a square piece of foil that's supposed to have fallen from a cross member of the lem leg, and amazingly enough it's flat and square and it's landed perfectly upright. Now how can it land upright? It should fall flat on the floor. And I'll give you a better look at it now. There you are, folks. Can anything be more clearer than that? I brightened it up for you, and clearly what you can see is two white eyeballs with a black pupil in the middle of each of them.
Once again, Expat Taffy's pareidolia strikes. He sees his whistleblower's eyes in a piece of material on the ground. Probably is just the reflection of the astronaut standing nearby. Why should have that piece of material fallen flat onto the surface? There is no air to interfere with its fall, and as you can clearly see exactly where the material broke off of the lem structure, just right here, and fell straight down here.
Okay folks, we come back now to the photo we started off with, AS11-40-5927HR. And if you remember, it was on here I showed those 8 anomalies. What we're going to do is look at number 1 and 2. The anomalies I showed you, 1 and 2, where the shadow was practically touching the horizon.
We know that Lem's shadow is not touching the horizon because you show in the next picture it's not touching the horizon. And you said you had 7 issues with that picture. Why haven't you mentioned item 3 and item 8? Is it because item 8 was pointing to a mass load of boot prints and God knows what point 3 was? Obviously you've forgotten about those. They can't have been that important. Shall we continue?
Okay folks, what we got here is AS11-40-5905. Now it's supposed to be the same Lem shadow, folks, but it's got some very, very big surprises. Okay folks, what we got coming here now is more proof of fakery and not a genuine photo taken on the moon. Look what I've done here now. I've brightened it up a bit, and I've arrowed to show the shadow from the solar wind instrument, wide as it should be. You can see the flag in this one. It's just that it's taken from the other side, from the right hand side. But it does show a small section of the pole shadow, but there's something seriously wrong with that pole shadow. Okay, what I've done here, I've cropped that photo again for you and enlarged it for you to see more detail. Now, what you can see here is a small section of the pole shadow coming from the flag. Now, it should be going all the way to the bottom of the flag pole, but it is not.
Great Scott! I know, this is heavy.
You mean this flagpole shadow you can see if you actually looked for it? Once again, the uneven lunar surface is disrupting the shadow line. If you bothered to actually study the photograph, you can see it.
Now folks, look what I've done here. I've projected that pole shadow line down past the pole flag, the flag pole, a yellow arrow, and as you can see, they are not in line, it's offset. That's proving that this is not a genuine photo. That is impossible. It's another fake photo.
Expat Taffy just doesn't get how shadows work, and how they can mislead and distort depending on how light shines onto a given object and the contours of the surface of the shadow is projected onto, as these pictures show.
Okay folks, my final piece of evidence that Apollo 11 lem is 100% fake. Look what we've got here. By brightening it up, well, another whistleblower's clue. Another white eye with a black pupil. I told you I had loads of them, didn't I, folks? And most important of all, look at the text at the top. Where did these two big rocks come from? I could do a better look at them now, but they was not in that shadow when the photo was taken from the left-hand side of the lem. Watch for a clear photo of them coming up. There you are, folks. There's those two rocks in the end of that lem shadow when taken from the right-hand side of the lem, but they were not in the end of the shadow when the photo was taken from the left-hand side of the lem. 100% folks. 100% fake, folks.
Once again, pareidolia strikes with Expattaffy. If you study the high-res image taken from the left-hand side of the lem, those rocks Expattaffy can't see are actually there. They are almost all obscured by the lem's landing struts, if you look very carefully, and there they are. And pictures taken from the left-hand side at a different angle confirm that those rocks are there. So, Paddy, definitely need your eyes tested.
Okay, folks, take a look at this man here. He was hired by NASA to make loads of photos in the 60s and early 70s. You got there a guy, he's got a fake moonscape on a table, he's got a fake little lem, he's got a fake little astronaut, he's got a fake flag, he's got a fake black background for the sky, and he's got his photos, and he's got his scissors, and he's got photographic equipment.
What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Willis?
Expattaffy, you really don't have a clue about what this guy's doing. Firstly, having scissors on your desk means nothing. Every office has them. Having one of these tools, does it mean you're in the Swiss Army? You don't even know what that piece of equipment is on his desk, and you have failed to see that the photos look all the same. I would say this guy is analysing the photos in order to ascertain the nature of the lunar terrain. As this is the 1960s or 70s, LiDAR and other 3D mapping technologies were yet to be invented, so the technology of the day was the Victorian invented stereoscope. The stereoscope works by looking at two separate near identical photos through a pair of lenses. Then the analyst can see a 3D image and then can ascertain an idea of height to an object and not just its length and width. The British Royal Air Force used this technology in their photo reconnaissance unit to great effect during World War II. And this ability gave the Royal Air Force a great advantage when bombing enemy targets. So this guy is analysing the two similar images in order to gain a 3D image of the proposed landing site. So a small 3D model of the area can be built in order to give the astronauts a fair understanding of what they may find when they land the LEM. Today we have seen this form of stereoscope technology used in the old-fashioned green-red 3D glasses with the funny weird-looking film, and in the stereoscopic images that were all the rage about a decade ago, known as the magic eye pictures, where you could either see something in there in the 3 dimensions quite quickly, or it took people ages and ages to see what there was in the picture, or some people couldn't even see anything except a mass of colour. So we see Expattaffy is just a clown who sits in front of his computer looking at NASA archive photos of the Apollo moon missions, going, duh, they are fake, blaming time-travelling NASA employees for planting photoshopped photographs of the mission in the archive files, and then cherry-picking images that seem to fit his hilarious narrative without actually doing any investigations into them. The reality is that NASA did send 9 Apollo missions to the moon. 6 missions actually landed on the surface, with Apollo 13 being the near fatal mission. All of the 6 sites can be seen on the surface. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Cheers for now.